So Derek Carr, who was never sacked last year, was sacked 4 times by the Redskins, back-to-back on the second series, offensive series of the Raiders. The first series, he threw almost immediately an interception. So that series was over before it began. So for the first full series, he was sacked twice, back-to-back plays.
Imagine the bullying that went on in those games where you've got black players, Hispanic players, white players, and others, and quarterbacks that are getting physically attacked, not being protected because they did what was right. Imagine the stories we don't know. Imagine what we don't know, Brandon Tatum.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine that. This is just. I mean, then you put in the fact that there's millions and millions of dollars. I could only imagine an owner coming down in the locker room and telling the star quarterback, "Hey, you need to promote this agenda. You need to say this. You need to say that. You need to act like this, or you will not have a job." And I know Colin Kaepernick is a perfect example of the fact that if they don't want to deal with you, they will not hire you. Now, deservingly so for him because he's a distraction in his play.
Well, they used him to detonate it, then threw him away.
Right. It's almost like they're passing out signals. Like, listen, this will happen to you. We are in control here. If we don't want you,
and notice that quarterback said no and put his hand over his heart, so they let him get more sacks than he had the last 3 years previous. In one game.
That's funny. That's funny. To be honest, like I couldn't even imagine a person actually doing that. But in this day and age, with this type of bizarre behavior, I cannot disprove that unless I actually, had some facts surrounding it. I wouldn't say that that's not a true statement.
I was about to say, it's not 100% confirmed. We know no sacks of the quarterback last year, and the same offensive line let him get sacked. I mean, I've got the piece here. Since we said it, let's just play it. Let's play it. Did Raiders throw NFL game over Anthem? Armstrong and Getty radio show. This is the new report dealing with the game. Here's a clip.
So this is a scandal. If it's true, and we have it on pretty decent authority that it is, this is one hell of a scandal with the NFL. Could ruin the league. What are we talking about? It involves the whole kneeling thing. Stay tuned to the Armstrong and Getty show.
So I'm quoting from the San Jose Mercury News, talking about what each NFL team did during Sunday's national anthem during these troubled and divided times. The entire offensive line of the Oakland Raiders, the only line in the NFL made up entirely of African-American players, was joined by virtually the entire team in kneeling or sitting during the anthem.
And one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, we understand, which is key to this story.
Oh, yeah, they are amazingly effective. Derek Carr was sacked once last year? It's an amazingly seldom. I mean, they did not let Derek Carr get tackled until he got his leg broken. Anyway, I've studied the photographic evidence. There were a couple of black guys on the team who were not sitting, but virtually the entire team was sitting. Head coach Jack Del Rio was standing. Quarterback Derek Carr standing.
While his offensive line was kneeling.
And the offensive line reportedly had led the whole we're going to sit thing. Football fans may be ahead of us now. The offensive line protects the quarterback. The original plan, by the way, was to stay in the locker room, but the NFL said no, because the schedule, we're kicking off right after the anthem, so you have to go out. So the offensive line said, we're going to sit. So Derek Carr, who was never sacked last year, was sacked 4 times by the Redskins, back-to-back on the second series, offensive series of the Raiders. The first series, he threw almost immediately an interception. So that series was over before it began. So for the first full series, he was sacked twice, back-to-back plays.
And I had said no sacks. I guess it was 1 sack. I mean, that to me is pretty obvious. And it just shows the insanity of all this, the people being used by this as this power play on the field, when it's this field and these fans that are literally loving you and you think they hate you. And that's a point you also made, Brandon Tatum.
Well, yeah. Back to the story. I mean, that's That's definitely something I would have to look into and look at the film. I think it can be verifiable. It can either go one way or the other. We can verify if that is actually true, if we actually had the film, and you can look at blocking schemes and you can look at stunts and blitzes from the defense, because there is a possibility that they just got their butts kicked and they gave up sacks because they were getting whipped. And you know what? I won't, unless I see the film, I can't say that it wasn't a scheme and they didn't let that happen. People in the NFL take steroids and do all kinds of stuff. So I'm not going to say that this is just far beyond the ethical values of a team.
Sure, absolutely.
I find it very hard to believe, but before I take that stretch, I would say I want to look at the film and see that they just get their butts kicked, or were they maliciously doing something crazy?
Well, Brandon Tatum, I completely agree.
With my own eyes.
You never took us down a rabbit trail. I did today, just because I thought it was so interesting. But we know it's the people pulling the strings that are behind this. And what's it like for you to know that 60+ million views of one video that you did, and that now you, other than Trump, are like the voice of the American people?
Yeah.
On this issue.
I think it's funny, but you know what? This is an example, like you said. We're right and they're wrong. It's the bottom line. They use media, they use these big organizations to beat it in our heads that everybody hates Trump, that everybody loves this virtual signaling that's going on, when in reality, I don't have to say nothing. The views themselves speak for. If we were wrong, and most Americans believe that the NFL was doing the right thing, or they believe that Donald Trump was a bad guy and a racist, if that was true, I wouldn't have got 60 million views on a video that I made in my car in the garage, and Donald Trump wouldn't be president today. I'm just keeping it 100% real. This is not, no one can combat that. And I think that as conservatives, as people who are on our side, I think that we have to start remembering, look, we're winning this game. We're up by 30 points. They're using trick plays and shenanigans, and they're on the sideline cheering, kind of like Hillary Clinton was doing. They're on the sideline cheering, but they're losing.
Exactly. It's all games, man. I tell you, you're my favorite talk shows, even though you're not one yet. I hope to get you to be one at least. Hard time, my friend. You're made for it. Listen, the Officer Tatum on Twitter, Brandon Tatum, I love you. Can't wait to give you a hug next week here in studio.
All right, definitely. Thanks for having me on.
I know you got to get on duty, so thank you, sir. He told us he only do 30 minutes, but he did 40 minutes. Thank you so much, Mr. Tatum. Wow, that was powerful. We're going to come back with Doug Hagman, who first broke over a month ago, the Antifa meetings where they're planning violence with his undercovers. That's now confirmed in video on drudgereport.com and newswars.com and an infowars.com story about Paul Watson. I didn't plug last hour. I skipped 2 breaks. I'm completely out of control. We need money. In fact, I'm our own worst enemy sometimes. We need money to hire more reporters and more people. I need a lot of money. This is very expensive to do this. We have all these enemies. We got the best products, the best water filters, the best air purifiers, the best supplements. Caveman, 50% off. That's going to end soon. The new special, Vitamin Mineral Fusion, 50% off. I'm not going to belabor it. Get 10% off. You sign up for auto ship. It's a great deal. It's great products, but it doesn't matter. Commit, buy it. It's a donation. We need your support right now, because I've been dropping the ball, not plugging, as you've all heard. I mean, I'm just so excited with all these guests and what's happening. It's hard for me to do it. InfoWarsLive.com. We need your support. Thank you.
In ancient times, man roamed the earth in a constant state of hunting or being hunted. Introducing Caveman, where cutting-edge science meets ancient super nutrients. Secure your bottle right now at InfoWarsStore.com.